This is the 2024 Honda Prologue, and it's the first fully electric vehicle that Honda has ever made for North America. This SUV is so new that we don't even get to drive it today, but I still have an opinion, and here it is. I think that Honda has done a great job creating a vehicle that's going to make EV adoption as easy as it possibly can be. And as I walk you around this vehicle today, I'm going to explain why I think that. Like the Acura ZDX, which Matt covered for CarGurus recently, check out that video, the Honda Prologue shares its underpinnings with the Cadillac Lyriq. Honda does have its own EV platform coming for 2025, but in the meantime, this feels like a smart move to get this vehicle to market a little bit sooner, leveraging a platform that's already underway. Now, of course, Honda is known for its long-term reliability, so it might feel a little bit risky to use someone else's platform, but it's just that skateboard. Everything else from that platform up is Honda. 3 trims are planned for the Prologue: EX, Touring, and Elite. And those are all familiar Honda words. We don't have anything like Electron or Ohm or something like that. The first thing that I notice is that this really doesn't look much like an EV. In fact, if you're not up close and able to see that this is all one flat piece, the grille looks downright normal, very similar to what we see with the new Civic. In terms of the rest of the bodywork, I feel that this is referencing the sleeker lines of the HR-V more than, say, the chunkier, truckier looks of the CR-V or the Pilot or the Passport. But to use those familiar vehicles for context, this is a mid-size SUV with the longest wheelbase in the class, so it's actually a full 8 inches longer than the CR-V, as well as 5 inches wider. So looks-wise, nothing too crazy so far, but check this out around the back. The Prologue and Elite badges both look pretty familiar, but it's the way Honda is spelled out across the back here and the typeface that they've chosen. That is the tell that really lets us know we're looking at something new and different here. If I saw this word on a TV screen or a movie screen, I would expect the letters to suddenly morph into numbers as soon as I had finished reading it. It just has that very digital look. That plus the new color and honestly this chrome piece back here, as well as the style of the wheels, it all looks very modern. Those wheels remind me kind of a hippie flower design or a tilted asterisk, very slick. Speaking of wheels, the Prologue will come with standard 19-inch wheels, but the Elite trim will have 21s. These are the biggest wheels ever offered on a Honda. A lot of the information that I have right now is based on estimates. Honda has shared that they're expecting 288 horsepower and 333 pound-feet of torque from the dual motor setup. That's all-wheel drive, and it'll be standard on the top Elite trim available on EX or Touring. Otherwise, those two will come with a single motor front-wheel drive setup. The Prologue is expected to have an 85 kilowatt-hour battery that will be able to charge at speeds up to 155 kilowatts. That'll let you add 65 miles of range in 10 minutes. And that brings up the million-dollar question. Here's the million-dollar answer. It's expected to have a range of 300 miles in its most efficient version. So that's the base EX trim with the single-motor front-wheel drive setup. Now, Honda is offering Prologue buyers their choice of 3 different charging packages that will include public charging credit and varying levels of financial support towards home charger installation or mobile charging packages. So your choice if you decide to buy a Prologue, which one of those you want to go for. And now let's check out the interior. This is a pretty familiar Honda interior. I noticed that we're missing the honeycomb grille that we've got used to seeing on their new dashes, but this is still an attractive look, very sleek and modern. What jumps out at me here as different is really the driver information display. I'm used to seeing Honda's digital gauge clusters under a cowl here, but this obviously has this 11-inch tablet-style driver information display, which is standard. So is this 11.3-inch touchscreen for the infotainment system. This whole setup looks pretty familiar Honda. This is bigger, but overall, we've definitely seen this before, and we still have this full array of physical controls here, which is a really nice thing. Including all of these familiar, tried and tested controls is one way that Honda is making this an easier EV to transition to. We don't have any floating consoles or iPads or yokes in here. This is all familiar, which I think is a really good thing. You know, some people are really excited to jump feet first into something new. Others of us really prefer to avoid the bleeding edge, and I think that's what Honda is counting on here. I'll admit it, I'm someone who prefers my comfort zone, so for me, something like this would be much easier to transition into. On that high-tech front, the Prologue is going to come with Google built-in, which is going to be really handy. I know I'm used to using Google Maps anyway through Apple CarPlay, but I'm always just looking for the fastest route. Here, the Prologue's execution of Google Maps is going to be able to do things like find charging stations and balance their locations with your charging time, or estimate how much charge you need to get to a particular location, or start preconditioning your battery as you're on your way to a fast charger. The idea is that that will help you charge faster and get back out on the road. So it's going to be super useful, and you'll be able to see Google Maps on either one of these two screens. We'll notice that the shifter is mounted on the steering wheel here, freeing up space, and we have this pass-through, so 2-level storage. We've got room here for 2 smartphones side by side. Definitely roomy, a nice big center console cabin, and then we've got this pocket-style wireless phone charger. We've seen EVs positioned as higher-end options in the market, and the Prologue does perpetuate that to an extent by making some traditionally premium features standard. Things like 8-way power adjustment and 2-way lumbar support for the driver, wireless Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, heated front seats, wireless charging, those are all standard. And that middle trim, Touring, that's going to get a leather-wrapped steering wheel and seat memory for the driver. The top trim, Elite, is going to get ventilated front seats and a heated steering wheel. Now let's check out the space in the back. The rear seats are reclinable, which is a really nice touch, and I love this two-tone seat color. No matter which trim and which seating surface you get, it will be two-tone, which I think is really good looking. Now, I don't have legroom stats yet, but from where I'm sitting, it definitely feels like I'm getting the benefit of that long wheelbase. I will say headroom, I'm guessing, is going to be a little tight for taller people. I'm 5'2", and it's looking pretty close. Now, in terms of storage space, I do know that you're going to have a little bit less than what you get in the Hyundai Ioniq 5, and yet total interior volume is larger than the Ioniq 5, which makes me think we'll have more passenger space here. The Prologue will come standard with the Honda Sensing suite of advanced driver assistance tech. That's going to include some new features like rear cross-traffic braking, rear pedestrian alert, blind zone steering assist. It'll have 8 airbags, and then the top trim is going to get a head-up display and front and rear parking assist. Now, this is far too new to have been tested yet, but Honda says that they're targeting a top safety pick plus from the IIHS and a 5-star rating from the NHTSA. Pricing specifics for the Prologue are not available yet, but they will be soon because this vehicle is due in customers' hands in early 2024, so that info's gotta be coming. In the meantime, I can tell you that it's set to start in the high $40,000 range. That feels pretty reasonable to me. Yes, it's more than the Toyota BZ4X or the Volkswagen ID4, but this is also a much larger and more spacious vehicle, and as I've mentioned, it feels less revolutionary in terms of your experience inside it, which I think is a really good thing. So there we have it, Honda's first ever all-electric SUV. And this is just the Prologue, so it's really exciting to see what's coming next. Whatever it is, CarGurus will cover it. Make sure you subscribe to this channel so you don't miss it.